What's up? What's going on, everybody? What's the word? Well, interesting day, interesting action. Not surprising. In fact, I wrote about it this morning that I wouldn't be surprised if they close lower on the day. We've seen um, um, that anything is a possibility, and we saw some things with the Federal Reserve and some other things. And of course, they're now inflation has become a problem. So, this is the same story, that we talk about all the time. I mean, suddenly inflation began. Well, gee, I'm so shocked that inflation has become a problem. I mean, we've only talked about it here for how long? I mean, the ignorance of what is going on. And, now, I mean, you can look at it a lot of different ways. We made a new high. So you could look at this as a key reversal. I am saying for TradingView to trade futures. And what that you recommend? I don't use them to trade futures. I use Cunningham for my futures trading. Because I've used it for 20 years. I use their charts though, because their charts are much better than anybody else's. But you're with TradeStation, I think, aren't they okay? I think they're okay, TradeStation. My concern with Thinkorswim is they're a few, not seconds, but they're microseconds behind Thinkorswim is. And I don't like that because that's problematic. Okay. But I think TradeStation is fine unless you're not happy with them. I mean, in fact, I'm going to work most likely a deal with them. Okay, but that's up to you. I mean, I use my chart here is TradeStation. I mean, it's TradingView. Okay, because we write for them. Okay, we do some other things with them, so I get to use it. But if you're going to use it, you want the CME data. And, I mean, you'll get the COMEX delayed, which is fine because you're not trading that daily, I don't think. Okay. But at the end of the day, so where are we? Well, we're really just in consolidation, right? I mean, we can look at the market many different ways. Okay. But we are really just in a form of consolidation. Okay. And again, the Nasdaq, as ugly as it was, it did make a new high. I mean, this is known now. Whether or not it's going to be a key reversal, I don't know. But this is known as a key reversal, especially when a market makes an all-time new high and then closes on its low of the day. So, but is it going to be? I don't know. We've had a number of these fail recently, so I can't say for certain that that's going to be the case. Okay, I just trying to figure out the best way to trade futures. Well, you need data from TradingView, which is, I mean, it's not expensive, but you already have one. You already have TradeStation. Are you going to give up TradeStation? Again, there's a lot more to talk about, and certainly, are you in Vegas? Are you gonna be in Vegas? Let's talk about it then, unless you want to do it before, then you can call me. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just saying, I want, because I got to get exactly what you want. And this isn't the right time for it, but you're on the right track. But again, TradeStation is okay if you're going to keep them. I mean, their data is good. But again, I'll be happy to talk to you about it. It's just, this is not the right time. It's too hard for me right now. But, listen, nobody knows when we're going to sell off. We do know a number of things that have got to happen. Okay. And one is that they have to raise interest rates. They can tell you no all they want, but they're going to have to hike rates. Okay. Because that's the only way. If they want to slow inflation, the only way to do it is to hike rates. Okay. Or open up the pumps, open up the shale, the fracking in the shale. Okay, those are the only two ways to slow the disaster that they have created. Okay. And they have certainly created a disaster. Okay. But, we'll get into all that when Andy gets here. But, the overall market's okay. I mean, you can see that the Dow with today's reversal now was still higher on the day. So it will not reverse tomorrow. It is right. Look at it. It's right on support. Okay. Now the Russell, on the other hand, has a potential to reverse tomorrow. That I don't know. Again, I never know. Well, they can't. Okay. Shut the pipelines, empty the reserves, and then we'll be up. Exactly. Okay. They shut the pipelines. And again, I said this on TV the other day. Okay. If you create something, it's easy to fix. Okay. But you can't shut everything down. And this is the same thing that President Obama did. What do you say, Guitar Boy? When they turned off the coal miners. Okay. You can't we are not equipped nor ready to just turn everything off. Okay. Do you guys all realize how much oil or fossil fuels goes into everything you do every single day? Okay. Including the bottles of water that you drink. Those plastic bottles take fossil fuels to make them. Okay. It is such a bunch of hog shit that they did this way, but this is, of course, their agenda. Okay. There's doing things right and there's doing things with an agenda. And of course, they only know how to do things with an agenda. Okay. And at the end of the day, okay, that's the problem. There's where the bigger problem lies. I have no problem with their plans or their intentions of what they'd like to do. Okay. I mean, we could never get there. And, we say this every week. Okay. 36% of the world is never going to get there. Okay. I don't mean maybe, I mean never. Until green energy is cheaper than coal, they are never, China and India are never going to use anything else. Okay. So they're 36% of the world. Our little 4% change, we're already the greenest environment that there is. And what are we going to do for the rest of the world? Are we going to be able to are we going to put a big bubble around the North America? Okay. I mean, it's such a bunch of crap that it makes me sick. Okay. That the way they go about things, but that's, of course, again, it's the same as what's going on with all this rioting and protesting. I mean, this is not right. Okay. I mean, I don't know what anybody thinks about it, but the courts spoke. Okay. That was, independent jurors. Okay. So, and I know they weren't all one-sided either. They weren't all white. They weren't all black. They weren't all women. They weren't all men. I mean, let's get real about what's going on here. Okay. And that in lies the bigger problem. Okay. When you try to become when you want to switch yourself over. Oh, my brother is here. I don't know if he's here yet. When you're here, there he is. What's up?
Good afternoon.
How are you? How was the grandchild? How was the grandbaby, the granddaughter?
It was good. It was very nice, except the trip stunk.
Well, listen,
traveling on Thanksgiving around this holiday is horrible, but it was great. It was great. And I really appreciate living in Las Vegas because it was freezing for us there.
Yeah, you know what though? It gets cold in Vegas too, and I remember freezing my ass off in Vegas too.
Yeah, but you know what? Not to the same extent.
Well, I think your body gets used to it, but it's all good. Listen, traveling into Chicago at any time is a pain in the butt anyway. So, but this was exceptionally bad, and of course, you had some exceptionally things happen that obviously made it even worse.
Pleasure. I mean, I'll tell you, people are traveling. O'Hare Airport was so packed at 6:45 a.m. It was unbelievable.
I will only say this, Andy, the trips I've made back and forth to Las Vegas for the last year. Okay, there ain't been no COVID in the airport since then. Okay, they've been packed every time I've ever flown. and I fly it out, and I fly it off times because I understand that.
Yeah,
So
we always take like the first flights out in the morning. Excuse me, wherever we go, because there's the least chance of delays. And
right.
we wake up early anyway, so it's fine. But you know, this I was shocked.
And no, listen, again, I've been going back and forth, and listen, people are traveling and they can't wait to get out, and they're going, and COVID or no COVID, they're doing their thing, and look at, I mean, it may be our last days of having freedom to do these things.
Huh.
So Jerome Powell, he's back. I know I know you have a favorable opinion, but go ahead and tell everybody.
No, I'm very happy with. Listen, I have not been in favor of pretty much anything that's gone on in this administration, but I think he made the right choice today, given the choice between the two, and I think it's good. I think it shows that while they're not paying inflation lip service, they know it's there, and they know it has to be dealt with. So I think that's good. And I think that, listen, I'm not a big fan of the central bank, as I know you're not.
I think they should be abolished. I mean,
right, but that's not going to happen. And if
I
we
know
have to live with them, I'd rather live with Powell than some other Yahoo that this administration might have.
The devil, right?
Right, and the markets liked it. I mean, bonds went down today. It's a clear sign that interest rates are going up. Stocks were mixed, but they got
clobbered late though.
No, I saw they got clobbered late, but interest rates are going to rise, and that makes sense. But the point is, gold went down. It sent the right signal to the markets at the right time. And the bottom line is that, he basically spit in the progressives' faces here again, and they'll negotiate this budget down. Hopefully Manchin and Sinema will be particularly difficult in terms of all this spending, because that's really the root of the evil. And, the progressives are going to get angry, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a real split in that Democrat Party, come the midterm elections. I'm sure that, that squad is going to be flapping their lips like nobody's business now, because they basically, they're losing on the budget. They lost on the Fed. They're not winning a lot of battles, which I think is a good thing.
That's the only that gives us hope. Okay.
Yeah.
But
as you said to me on the phone earlier, Powell's reappointment is a rejection of UBI, which is good.
Right. Of course, it's great. I mean, that's the worst thing we could go to. Look, we got issues, okay, and we have a very bad setup right now in Washington. And I don't care that they're Democrats. I care at what they're trying to do, and they're trying to change things. And you know that much of this protesting, like in Portland and other places, I mean, you see what they're doing in Kenosha, and you see, I don't know, what was the finding of the car, the one who ran into the parade? Was he drunk or was it intentional?
I don't know, but they're leveling all kinds of charges, as they should. And quite frankly, any excuse to ruin property and to create havoc, there's certain groups that are taking. And we have to support our police, and we have to tell our police that we support them.
Right.
But the guy who won in New York is a police captain. I was very happy to see him win. And again, I don't care that he's a Democrat. I care that he was a police captain. He's got a lot of progressive ideas, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, government's job is to keep us safe and to allow businesses to run and people to live their lives in peace. And, any challenge to the police is a challenge to that. And I support our police, our military, our firefighters, the people who serve us every day. And there's a very large, growing group that don't support them. And that's the danger. That's the real danger.
Yeah, right. And why would you want to support them? The guys who work for nothing, guys and women, guys and gals that work for nothing, basically, and put their lives on the line every day. That'd be silly. But let me just, I got to address two questions real quick. QE sucks. Okay. I hate the fact that we do all this quantitative easing. I think it's stupid. I thought they should let the banks go out of business in 2008. Okay. But again, what Andy and I are talking about now is the devil we know, okay, which is Powell, who's, I don't like him either, but Brainerd would be, you'd be having universal income here in the next 12 months. Okay. And I don't want to ever see universal income, because that's the next step before socialism or Marxism or communism. And I don't want it. Okay. I don't want it in my country. I don't want it here. Again, it won't have as a great effect on me, but I'm worried about my children, my grandchildren.
Yeah, I agree with that. But more than that, the central bank has no business addressing climate change. That's a Congress and leadership issue. They have no business involved in that. They also have no business involved in social equity. They have business involved in managing interest rates and employment and economic data.
And they far overstep.
I don't go to a dentist if I have a heart problem, and I don't go to a dermatologist if I have cancer in an organ. I go to specialists, and economists are specialists, and let them deal with the economy, which has nothing to do with climate change.
That's a dirty word, economist.
With social equity. This is, we need to, that is my big issue. Do you agree?
Economist is a dirty word.
I understand, but understand the premise. Forget about whether you like them or you don't like them. The central bank.
I don't like that they're so far past the charter. I don't like that was designed to steal everybody's money. I don't like that.
Climate change has nothing to do with banking,
right?
In my opinion, has to do with policy. Whether you agree with it or not, it's policy. It's political. It has nothing to do.
I want to change the policy.
Right. I understand that. And I get that. But
and you know what?
The route to do that is through your vote, through Congress, through the Senate. That's the way to do that.
You know how it's going to change?
It is not through appointees to the central bank. And people like Elizabeth Warren,
you can vote.
Bernie Sanders, and other progressives, they want to use the central bank as a tool for their legislative mandates and their policies and their initiatives. And I think that what Biden did, listen, I'm his biggest critic, and you know that, Bubba. But I will tell you, I think he made 100% the right change.
I do
too. The right choice today.
I agree with that. I'm with you. Okay. Now, again, I will say this. Okay. You know, they fought against the cryptocurrencies. They tried everything they could do to stop them, and they weren't able to stop it. So they've accepted it, and you now have more ETFs. You now have the Ethereum future micros coming out in 2 weeks. And the cryptocurrency world could change the Fed. It will never change what they do, but it could change the amount of money that flows through them that they have as much control over.
Right. It could change their control. Exactly.
Okay. Because they're as dumb as dumb as you can possibly get. Okay. Look, they're smart people. Obviously, they're highly educated. You know, and they have their thesis all over the place, but they don't know how to deviate from the thesis. And it's like
in an academic tower where they are not exposed to what everyday people are exposed to, even though they try to represent that they are. It's like going to a college professor to discuss, any topic, anything. It's all theory, not practice.
Right.
We need to be practical.
Right. And that, again, that's the problem with economists in general, is they have no common sense. I used to tell my kids when they were little, I'd say, I could drop you off. You guys don't know anything. You have no common sense. You learn nothing because all you do is study for the next test. I said, I could drop you off in the middle of nowhere. You'd never find your way home. Okay.
Right.
You know what? I can say it about the people at the Federal Reserve. I dropped them off in the middle of nowhere. They'd never find their way home. Okay. All right. Can banks be nationalized?
Can what?
Can banks be nationalized?
that's a political issue. I mean,
Of course they
can
can.
be. By the way, look at history. Of course they can be. They've been in many places,
Yeah, it's a bad deal. It's a bad situation, but
but not under Powell.
no,
Not under Powell. No,
no,
I would
not
say no.
right
The odds
now.
of that went down big time.
We're safe for
Under Elizabeth Warren tomorrow.
we're safe for 2 more years.
Right. I think it's 4. Is it 4? I think it's 4.
I thought there were 2, but
Whatever they are. Whatever they are. We're safe for
whatever they are, they're too long. Just like the political offices are too long. I can't take it.
But under Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, everything would be nationalized.
Yeah, because they already have their money. What do they care about us?
Everything would be nationalized.
Right or wrong? They already have their cash. They don't care about us. Okay.
That's listen, it just goes. I think it's a good day because it goes to show that even though their voices are very loud, their support is very limited.
Now,
and Biden responded to that.
Yeah, I liked his response to this. I didn't like his response the other day, but so let me ask you this question. Okay, we know we got rioting in Portland again, and these are not, in my opinion, I want to get your opinion. In my opinion, these protesters are not normal protesters. They're not really your neighbors. These are paid protesters from someone who got lots of money, who pays these people to go out and do what they're
I
doing.
think that's part of it, but I think there's another part of it. They're ideological. That there is a group that's very ideologically revolutionary, and the revolution they want, they're basically communists who basically want the government to control everything. They want communism, common good, supposedly. It's not really common good, it's common bad, but they want the government to control everything, control our lives from birth to death, control everything that we do, everything that we have, everything that we can aspire to. And that's what they try to do. And that's a real problem in this country. And some of the people who protest are real ideologues. Yes, there's money behind them, Soros, people like that. There's a lot of money that's given that way. There's also a lot of money from the tech sector, from billionaires who are given that way because they know that the best way to control and raise their power is to take power away from everyone else. Guys like Bezos. Why did Bezos go out and buy the Washington Post? Because he realizes that the power of the press is very strong.
Right.
And we don't have any journalists these days.
Hold on 1 second, please. Powell was reappointed today, so he's not out. Okay. Anyways, so
who said that?
Somebody asked me if Powell was, if they thought Powell was on their way out. I said he's not out. He was reappointed this morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to ask you about this, which is really Antifa. Not all you go, but anyways, and the press, the media. Okay. Now they have been ripping on this Rittenhouse verdict all weekend. And I don't watch much of it because I can't take it, but they are intentionally creating a shitstorm, excuse the term, okay? And you have professors from Rutgers talking about this stuff and blaming the whites for everything, okay, calling them evil. Now, you cannot continue to do that in the media. Where's the FCC when you need it?
This is the problem. Journalism is dead. These are protagonists who are hired to espouse an agenda, a political agenda. And CNN, MSNBC, over there. Listen, that judge in Wisconsin, he banned MSNBC from the courtroom.
I didn't ban him from reporting.
The guy's a Democrat. I
know, I understand. Look, this is first of all, this wasn't a political issue. It wasn't a racist issue. But they turned it into a political and a racist issue.
No, man. I wish that someone who with some brains took over all of these networks, fired everyone there, and just put in people, please report the news unbiased. That's what we need to do. Listen, Fox is just as bad. It's all agenda. It's all to influence their listeners. None of it is good. It's not.
All this
healthy.
sell
By
advertising.
the way, it's fine to have a program where you discuss your opinions and give your opinions. And as long as it's qualified as opinion, the problem is it's presented as news. And that's not news. That's opinion. Big difference.
Okay, now newsworthy. Do you have any bitches today?
Any bitches? It's amazing. Service in this service and crime. Service and crime. Crime is going up. Service is going down in this country. Big
Yep.
time. Big time. I tell a story. Last week, I have to apologize to everyone. I didn't participate in last week's call. I'll tell you why. My wife and I have like an iPhone 8, and my battery life is like now measured in minutes rather than hours. So we went out, we bought some new iPhones, and I got the delivery last week, a little bit before we were coming on to do the Monday night call. And I got the box and I opened the box. I'm saying, oh, good, the iPhones are here. Tonight I'll set it up. I opened the box, and you know what was in the box, Bubba? 2 empty iPhone cases. Someone had gone in either in the center where they send them out or, in transit. Someone had gone on, opened the box, taken the 2 iPhones out, put the boxes back in, and shipped me empty boxes. And so I had to be on the phone with AT&T for 4.5 hours and of course they first of all, how do we know that you didn't steal the iPhones? Why would I be calling and wasting my time? Right. So the level of crime now that prosecutors are not prosecuting crimes. I mean, you could walk in to a Walgreens in San Francisco and take $900 worth of stuff. They can't touch you.
Right.
So I have a 2-part pitch. So one part is crime is out of control. And we as a society need to know right from wrong. And we need to punish wrong. I mean, we need to punish.
Yeah, but let's defund the police so we don't have wrong.
Right. Then on the other side, service.
Oh,
service. Service with a smile has been replaced to service with an attitude. Even when I was having a problem at the airport yesterday, when United Airlines kept my wife's reservation, but canceled my reservation to fly home from O'Hare to Las Vegas, the attitude that I got at the counter was despicable.
No,
it was despicable. It was like they were yelling at me, accusing me of canceling my reservation. Why would I get? They told me that the reason my reservation was canceled is because I never flew from Vegas to Chicago. So my wife, I tell you, she was the best. She whipped out of her pocketbook, which is kind of an abyss of everything. She whipped out my boarding pass. She said, "Here's the boarding pass." He was with me. So thank God she saved it. So, and the guy was like annoyed. The service, there's no service with a smile. There's service with an attitude, and there's crime rampant, and something has to be done about this because, we can't go on like this. This is going to cause a lot of frustration.
We're going to defund the police. And we're going to take care of it, and we're going to keep giving bigger and bigger limits that you can steal. Listen, I'm thinking of quitting because I figure if I can go to 9 stores a day and steal $900 a day, I can make a nice living. Okay, I'm not going to get arrested.
I will tell you, every time I see a cop, I go over and I say thank you, and I say thank you out of self-interest because the last thing I want to see is the cops start leaving the force, which they're doing in droves.
And believe me, it's amazing that more don't because they can make so much more money in the private sector.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, people who go into the police, people who go into prosecuting, people who go, they have a true good.
Yeah, you got somebody very near and dear to you.
That's right. But they want to do good. They really want to do good.
I understand.
They want to do good. Listen, my son is a prosecutor in Chicago. And when I talk to him, he always talks about, listen, if I could save one kid who's in a gang, if I can help one, it's not like I want to throw people in jail. I want to, if you listen to MSNBC, you think that a prosecutor wants to throw people of color into jail because they're of color, or they want to take LGBTQ people and throw them in jail. That's not what these people want to do. What they want to do is help people. If they can save one person from the system, then that's a great reason for them to do this kind of thing. That's why my son does it. So,
Right.
from my perspective, we got it all ass backwards. And going back to what you said, the press is feeding that. And that's a problem.
And so are some of the big money guys, and one of them I'm not going to name, but you all know I've said his name before. So he's behind a lot of this, and I know that for a fact. Now it's not theory; it is fact. Okay, but anyways, so there is no service. We know that. I mean, you can't get. I was at a Walmart, okay, looking for mouse traps. Because every time it gets cold at my house. What do you think? Where do you think the mouse go to come in? They make themselves at home.
Get a cat.
And every year I got to go get mouse traps. And I went, and I was so tired. I didn't feel good. And I couldn't find one person in the entire Walmart to help me. I couldn't even find somebody to ask to tell me they didn't know. Anyways. So as we look at the markets, young man, look at the dollar. Look at the dollar go. It's a runner. Okay. And it's suddenly making bigger moves. Now we're long dollars, which is good. Okay, but we've broken out to a new level. Can we go back
as we've said in the past, Bubba, these fiat currency markets, they move on interest rates. Interest rates are the most important issue. And, U.S. interest rates are set to rise, and that's supporting the dollar. And the reappointment of Powell validated that today. So we got a big move.
Yeah. And
highest level since July 2020. Looks like 100 is in play for the dollar index. And by the way, as strong as the dollar is, the euro is so weak because Europe is such a mess. And you know what, Bubba? All of these fiat currencies, I look at the price of wheat. I say, big deal, the dollar's rising. Those dollars, even though they're rising, they buy less today than they do last week, last month, last year.
They buy it is so ridiculous, and the solution is so simple, and they won't do it. So in the meantime, Ken, I know you're taking notes tonight. 95.5 to 97. Okay, 95.5 to 97, and we are long. We are not I am not selling dollars, and if this sell-off continues, and I'm not saying it will, I did say that it could happen today though. But if it does continue, the dollar is going to par, which is back to $1. Okay?
Right. Absolutely.
Because that is one of the places that is still, for now, it is still a safe haven asset play. Okay. And of course, you mentioned it, the euro currency. Good night, Irene. I mean, I'm telling you, in my opinion, going back to under par. Okay. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, you know what? We talked about progressives and the progressive agenda. All you have to do is look at Europe to see what that does. All you have to do is look at Europe. There it is. There's the model.
And you know what the worst is? Every time we have these big moves in any currency, because they're all criminals, okay, they keep taking a little bit more. It never totally relates. If you added the sum total together, so you got 97 and change and 112. Okay, the next time we get around, it'll be less than that total. They keep stripping our values away from us, and that's how inflation continues to go up. Why your dollar buys less. So
I was thinking about this. The euro is what, 20 years old, 21 years old. When did
no, it's 30. So it's
30 years old. Okay, 30 years old. So 1990-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bitcoin's what, 11 years old?
Yeah.
Not much, it's, they say, oh, it's brand new, blah, blah, blah. The euro is pretty brand new too.
Yeah. In consideration of everything else, yes.
Yeah. And the euro, listen, the euro depends. The success of the euro, the problem I have with the euro, when I step back and I forget about all the nonsense that goes on in Europe, the problem I have with the euro is you have countries that are all part of the euro that have very different cultures. The culture in Germany and Italy and France and Spain and Portugal and all these countries, Ireland, all these countries, Holland, very different cultures, very different economic histories, long histories that are difficult to erase. Getting them all to cooperate is an impossibility. And that's why the euro is doomed for failure.
Yeah, and so Ken, we're going to go 113.50 resistance no support. Just
No
look for rallies.
support. No support in this thing.
Look for rallies to sell.
This is don't pick a bottom in the euro.
No, you'll get a big move one day. I mean,
You will, but don't pick a bottom.
It'll go up a penny or two, which is $1,250 a penny. But you know, but basically, it's going. It's in a deep downtrend, and it looks to be continuing. Bitcoin, you know, look, we said last week, would it be a surprise if it got to 55,000? No. Whoa, geez, it's at 55,000 right now.
Right. And by the way, listen, it gave us a little bit of a signal. You had that big November 10th, that day where we made a new high. We definitely put in a bearish reversal on that day. And the thing is followed through on the downside. Every new event has led to a new high and then a sell-off. So the pattern continues.
Right. Now we're short Bitcoin now, and we're short the euro too, but we're short Bitcoin now. But again, I'm a believer. Again, I don't have enough, as I tell you all the time, I don't have enough that I'm going to worry about if it goes to zero. I don't think it's going to zero. I think it's going a lot higher. And I think that we're going to find, you know, the next 10 or 15 years, we'll probably have, what do you think, Andy? 15, 20 different cryptos will be it by the time it's all said and done?
Yeah. 15 or 20 will survive out of the 14,635 and counting. By the time we're on, there's probably more. But, you know, we have to remember that April 14th, Bitcoin made a new all-time high and it halved in value. You know, this is a very volatile asset. And it's going to continue to be a very volatile asset. Don't pick bottoms in this thing. And the reason we're short here is because could Bitcoin go back to 30,000? Of course it can. And could it go to 100,000 from 30? Of course it can. So don't pick bottoms, don't pick tops in this thing. But that bearish reversal was very telling. Because, you know, I've kind of been schooled now watching these things and the patterns, and we're all about patterns and trends. And we've been schooled, Bubba, that, you know, when they make new highs, the corrections tend to be brutal. And these are nice patterns to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
These create big opportunities.
You know, we talk about all the time, when they get too far away from the mean, they're going to normally have some kind of retracement, whether they're going to reverse or not, but there's always some kind of.
I think, by the way, I think Bitcoin's going to 100,000. I kind of doubt it's going to happen by the end of the year, like some people believe. Would I be shocked? No. But, you know, is it going to go there from 50,000, from 40,000, from 30,000, from 20? I don't know. That's why I follow the trends, and that's why I don't cover until the trend reverses.
But in the meantime, you know, Bitcoin was, what, 2 years ago, 800 billion, and it was flirting back and forth between $1 trillion. And now it's approaching the size of Apple.
Well, you mean the whole asset?
Oh, the whole class. I'm sorry.
Right. Bitcoin itself is about $1 trillion, and that's about 43% of the asset class.
Yeah.
But the asset class itself is, it's over 2 trillion. And it peaked at over 2.5 trillion. And could it go down to 1.5?
Right now, as we speak, according to my records here, it is 2.6 trillion.
Okay. And you know what? At the beginning of the year, it was under $1 trillion.
Right. 55,000, Kenny, 50, if you want to mark it down, 55,000, but no surprise if it goes to 45,000.
No, none. No surprise wherever this thing goes. I could turn on the screen tomorrow. I could see 100,000 and I could see 20,000, and neither would shock me.
Right now, 50 to 60,000. And yeah, they never consolidated that. Well, listen, the euros, you know, so Mario Draghi was an imbecile, but I got news for you. This woman they brought in, what the hell's her name? I forget. I hate her. Christine Lagarde. She's stubborn to post. Okay. The big sticky traps work, except sometimes the mice live and they take the trap and they drag it with them.
Let me tell you a little story. You know, so when I was at Solomon, I used to do a lot of gold borrowing and lending. I used to deal with all the central banks and the supranational institutions. So I have experience dealing with the IMF and the World Bank and the IMF and World Bank are kind of like, they're like the places where they put the economists who don't make it in the central banks. You know, they're kind of like they're kind of like the retirement grounds.
Right.
They picked her. First of all, she had a big scandal in France. They picked her for the IMF, and they took the Europeans in their brilliance, took her from the IMF to run the ECB. to me, it was the wrong route.
Well,
Mario Draghi should be, well, now he's the president of Italy. I mean, the way they do things in Europe is so ass backwards.
listen, she's as dumb as a post. That's all I can say. And Coco, Coco we're long and it's going up. Okay. And again, look, it's 25.50. And as you called it, you said that December was going to be volatile, and certainly the contract has been very
Yes,
volatile.
we said, look, when December rolls to March, you get a lot of volatility, you get a lot of stupid moves, get a lot of spikes up and down and all around, and then things settle down once the new contract starts trading, and a trend emerges, and that's
Right.
what we're seeing. Yeah.
Crude oil. Now, we're now short crude. We short as of today. What is your take on this crude? I mean, I know you and I both think it's going back to 100. How do you?
It's got to hold 61. It's far away. Crude oil takes the elevator down, or in this case, the escalator down. Seasonality doesn't favor crude oil now because you're out of the peak gasoline driving season, which is the biggest used oil product. I'm not surprised to see this, see it come off a little bit, and could it go down into the 60s again? Absolutely. I would say in the next 12 months, you're going to see triple-digit crude oil.
That's what I would think. And what is your thought on the? I did a number of TV spots last week, and my answer was always the same. We have imbeciles running this country that if they just turn the pumps back on. Okay, turn the producing back on. First of all, our inflation would drop in half. We'd be back to where we were. Number one. Number two, we could actually make money and pay this debt off because, we can liquefy the natural gas and ship it to the UK and to Germany, who's starving for it and paying 6 times what we're paying for it. And then they go, what about the strategic reserve? I says, well, the problem with draining the strategic reserve is you got to refill it. So what are you going to refill it? You're going to call up OPEC and say, hey, do me a favor, I got to refill, give me a discount?
Every time. And I've been trading oil since the 1980s, early 1980s. Every time Washington released crude oil from the strategic reserves, oil rallied. Every time it rallies. Every time. It's always the wrong move to do. Look, U.S. consumption, worldwide consumption of crude oil is larger than it was in March 2020. In March 2020, the U.S. produced 13.1 million barrels per day. Today, as of last week, I guess the last EIA report, we produce 11.4 million barrels per day. That's 13% less. And where we're producing less and the world is using more, the prices are going up. All of our stockpiles in terms of gasoline, distillates, and crude oil have drawn down since January 1st. The bottom line is we're in a weak seasonal period of the year. Crude oil, no bull markets go straight in a straight line. Crude oil has experienced many sell-offs throughout, since April 2020, when the price went below zero and that one-day wonder. The bottom line is, can we go down to 60? Absolutely. That's why we're short here. But we will be long again, and this thing will be much higher. It will make a new high above $85 before next year at this time. There's no question.
I agree with that. And it's funny because, they go with all the selling recently, why hasn't the price of the pump dropped? I said, well, A, it has dropped a little bit, but B, number one, because they've shut down the pipelines, you got to commute this stuff and you have nobody to ship it with.
Let's go. Listen, last week, the president, who I was very supportive of before when we're talking, but now I'm going to take the other tack. He wants to investigate. He wants the DOJ to investigate.
All right. I got that on my list. Don't
companies. So the bottom line here is, you know what? It's taxes. What does Illinois charge per gallon tax on gasoline?
And more than
what does California charge? What does New York charge? This is where the price gouging is. The taxes are enormous. And by the way, the taxes are as a percentage. So when the price of oil and gasoline rise, the taxes go up because they're not fixed dollar amounts. It's not like it's a 50-cent per gallon tax. It's a percentage tax. So as the price goes up, the percentage goes up. The nominal price goes up. The bottom line is they should look to themselves. And if he really wants to investigate why gasoline prices are so high, Well, it's because he's asking Moscow and Riyadh to raise, their production because he handed back the pricing power to them. That's the reason. It has nothing to do with oil companies.
Of course it doesn't. And of course, the last part of that, first of all, Ken, 74 to 78. And we're not buyers. But the last part to that is that, like in the desert, when I'm in Vegas, we pay more. Why? Because they have to truck it there.
Right.
And of course, what the hell's the cost of trucking now? It's ridiculous.
Right.
Supply chain is broken down because we have an administration that doesn't care about the supply chain. They don't care about anything but UBI. Okay. Anyways, cotton. We're still long and
Nice consolidation pattern.
Yes.
Don't be surprised to see a whoosh here.
Whoosh up or down.
Either.
Okay. Well,
I would think if I had a bet,
yeah.
I mean, I know we're still long here, but if I had a bet here, this consolidation, whatever the price, the nominal price, it's seasonality again. The longer it sits here, the more it looks a little dicey to me.
It could be. I mean, we had a big drop down a couple of weeks ago and we came back. I don't know. In the meantime, we're still long and 115 support until it shows me it's not support anymore.
Right, exactly.
Gold. Now this is ugly. This has got to, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to assume we're long now, but I'm assuming this is going to reverse tomorrow, which doesn't make me.
Came all the way back to the 1800 pivot point. We came back on the Fed news and the bonds went down and everything worked the way it was supposed to work.
Actually, if you look at it, gold actually told you what was happening before it happened.
That's true.
Because it was selling off early.
By the way, and if you don't think the people get tipped off ahead of time, you're out of your mind.
Here you go.
Gold didn't tell you. The people who in the know told you.
Here, this is before the markets even opened. This is at about 6. This is about 8:30 Eastern time right here. Okay.
You think that some people don't get tipped off?
Come on, of course they get tipped off. It's the biggest crock there is. Okay,
right, of course. So gold basically reacted because gold was the logical one to sell here. But we'll see. Let's see. It's
right now we're long until tomorrow morning. I don't know, but I would suspect. Again, I don't know, but it looks to me. But 1800 for now is going to be a key level to watch either side. Okay. I wouldn't tell you to buy it now, other than I'd like to buy it on a blow off. Okay. But other than that, we're long. And right now it's 1800, 1850. But again, I got to really see what our real direction is. So I'm going to just
buy any gold here. Listen, I bought my gold this year.
Well, no, I would buy for my
1700s, high 1600s. I'm not a buyer of gold here, but
I would buy gold. I buy physical gold anytime. What do I care? I'm not selling it anyways.
$1,800 has been a pivot point for the better part of a couple of months. So we're back at the pivot point. Let's see what happens.
Right. I mean, I got an email today. I would have hoped you would write an article on how the late Friday trading, the price of gold that was dropped $10, and how today traders are rewarded with a $30 drop by 9 a.m. I mean, that's not what I'm supposed to write about. I mean, I can write about anything, but I'm not a full-time writer, to keep putting out articles. I'm writing about our position, and I make full disclosure, whether we're long or we're short, and I make full disclosure that I will always buy physical metals. I don't care. I bought more today. Okay, I don't care. Wherever it goes, it goes. My kids will sell when I drop dead. Okay. Feeder cattle looks pretty good. Okay, we're breaking out.
Yeah, the meats look good, man. And
Yeah.
you said it that you were a better buyer. And the bottom line is, listen, these ranchers, these animal protein producers, they're facing higher costs. They need higher prices, and the markets are responding.
Of course. And let me just address one comment. Gold GC always. Look, please don't say always. I don't like that. Okay. I'm not being critical, but trust me, you say always, you'll get caught and you get a new one ripped for you one day because you said always. It's not, nothing is always, nothing is forever. And I've been trading gold for a long time, and I've never seen this kind of rip right before Thanksgiving. Okay. Now, again, it doesn't matter. It'll happen. Okay, just like when we had the problem in Dubai in about the late 90s or maybe early 2000s. I don't even remember it. So who can remember my
Hey,
my
you know,
timing?
I turned on the TV today. When I turned it on this morning, before I even turned my screens on, I heard, about the Powell thing. I said,
Right,
"Oh, gold's got to be lower, big time.
right,
Gold's got to be." I mean, that's the reason. In my mind, that's 100% the reason.
right. No, of course.
Interest rates going higher, costs more to carry gold. Gold competes with bonds. Bonds are dropping. Gold's going to go lower. That's what's happening here until it doesn't.
Right,
That's until it doesn't. Now, the next time we get a CPI, might be a different story.
right.
Might be a
No,
different story. I mean, did you see where wheat went today? I know we'll get there.
we'll get there. Just relax. Hold your
I know that,
Sparky.
but it just feeds into
Sparky.
the whole
hold your
argument.
pants on, Sparky. I'll get there. I got it.
The argument.
I got it, Sparkles. I'm with you. Okay. Anyways, so I mean, if you want to level Kenny, 160 support, and we're long anyways. Hogs, a little bit of a pop. And look, I said this before. I've never seen hogs at this time of year this high.
Oh, I agree. Listen. Cattle and hog prices are very high for the off season, and we're deep into the off season. I mean, November is the heart of the off season for this, the demand for these things.
Right. So
the prices are high.
They're high, but they look like they want to go higher.
Right.
And of course, part of it's the cost of inflation that we don't have, and I guess now they're admitting to it. But so in the meantime, we're stuck in this nice little range, 82 to 84.
And we have to remember, back in 2020, the prices went so low that there was no reason for a rancher to keep his business, and the prices for consumers went so high that people just couldn't afford, or they couldn't even get their hands on meat. So this has really screwed up all these markets dramatically. So anyone in those businesses now need a return, or they're not going to be in a business.
Right. Well, that's what they want. They want to put them out of business. These corporations can take them over and screw everybody. Like, this is such a disaster. In the meantime, copper. Okay. And copper we're short, and it's been whippy. It had some big ups, some big downs, but it is headed lower. Now again, can it change? Look, it could change at any time. The market. One thing about the market doesn't tell you that they're going to make a run on copper. Okay, we know certain facts, but the biggest fact is that the trend is lower, and that's the way we're going to trade it until. And certainly, the bounce is not a surprise when you had the big sell-off. And again, the real key will be what it does right in here. Okay, that'll be the key for here. But what's your take on copper from your fundamental side, your fundamental view?
My fundamental view is that it's going to be over $6 a pound in the next 2 years. But right now, I'm comfortable being short.
Okay.
I know that if it's trading at 555 or something, we'll be long, and we'll catch that move. But the bottom line is that there's no decarbonization without copper. There's not enough copper to meet all the demand in the world, and that the price is eventually going to go higher from. But it's like Bitcoin. From what level is it going to go down below $4 again? Well, we're short. I hope so. But longer term, copper, lithium, all the battery metals, they're going higher.
That's why I agree with you. Again, that's why I asked for your fundamental views. I mean, there's a difference because, we don't trail the fundamentals, but, understanding what can happen, and it ain't going to happen tomorrow. And coffee. Now, this is a perfect example of what we've been talking about how fast it went up. Now, this is way too fast for anything to go up. Okay. So what has to happen here? Okay. First of all, Andy and I both think it's going to $3. Okay.
Fourth time in history, it's going to go over $3.
But either way, okay, it needs to be more on this trajectory. So it's either going to consolidate here for a while, okay, within a tight range until the moving averages catch up with it, or it's going to have a big drop down to there. But a sell-off here is not negative. Okay, we're long coffee and have been long for quite a while. But overall, the pattern itself suggests that there's a bigger move coming, and I would not be surprised to see a quick $10 cent move down one day. Why? Because you cannot go straight up. It has to have buyers and sellers, and right now it's only been buyers. And what happens?
It's a wild market. I mean, it's so expensive 10-cent move is a lot of cash.
Right, but what happens is the buyers get so aggressive and the sellers keep raising the price, they keep raising the price, and eventually
There's
the buyers run out, and
the
then the
problem
sellers
is there's
take
no
advantage.
Arabica bean. The Arabica bean shortage in Brazil is severe, and that's severe. That's significant.
Now lumber,
You got to
right.
give Ken. You got to give Ken copper level.
I don't give copper levels 10.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't usually, but if you want them, I'll give them to you. 420 to 445. Okay. I typically don't, but I will.
Oh,
For
okay.
him,
I'm just
in favor. He's taking care of Percani, so I give him the levels. Okay. I hope the Connie will be back next week. I've talked to her a number of times. Well, I've texted with her back and forth. In the meantime, lumber had a nice spike up, and again, same thing.
Love the action in lumber. I've loved it for a while. You remember?
You liked it down at the bottom.
Yeah, I liked it down there. And quite frankly, listen, we're still in the middle of the winter, but infrastructure rebuilding, a lot of lumber. We need a lot of lumber.
At the end of
Not
the
that
day,
much lumber. It's limited.
it failed right where it should have failed. And whether or not it goes sideways for a while, it comes down, it's got to settle back into this. Okay.
Right. I agree 100%. And we had a
Either it goes sideways,
$30 decline today.
it can go sideways for a while, or it can come down and then restart the move over again. But it's not going to, it cannot go. You cannot see. Now, we don't trade this because it's not liquid, but you cannot see that kind of movement without some kind of retracement. It will make some retracement. Cattle, it just looks great. Jesus, we're long this too. Look at this. This is beautiful. It just keeps going up. Now, again, you know, you
By the way, if you go put up a long-term chart, we're getting near all-time highs.
no, we're not. We're not anywhere near.
Go all the way. Go back.
I don't. What is the all-time high in your mind? Okay.
I mean, on the futures,
Yeah,
I thought it was like it's under 140, isn't it?
you're not even close. 175.
No, that's the feed. Do me a favor. Take a look. Please take a look. I had a chart up before.
Well, hold on. Just listen to me for 1 second.
These were like 260.
45. Okay, you hear me? Feeders were 245.
Yeah. That's right.
And fat cattle was 175. Okay, I'll bet my life on it. How's that?
I want to see it. Show me. Show me.
I'll bet my life on it first. You want to?
I believe you, but I want to see it.
Can we bet my life first?
Yeah, go ahead. Just
I got no existence anyway.
You're 15 years. Is that enough?
I'm sorry, 170, 165.
You're right. You're right.
Of course I'm right. You know how I know? I commented on every day for the CME. Okay. And every day.
What year was that? What year was that?
About 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know. Okay. It was in 14, 15.
Okay. Where is the high in 2017?
In 2017 is about, well, there's the print high, which is about 134.
Which is where we are, right?
Yeah.
So this is this is a real technical break.
Yeah, no. I mean, again, I said every day when feeders were 240 and 245 and fats were 170, 175. I go every day I would get on air and say sell. Anyways, 132 looks pretty solid, maybe 133 support. There's no place to sell it yet. Natural gas, kind of shocking. I mean, we're short, so it's a good thing.
Not shocking.
But it is interesting that it's in a pretty nasty downtrend, and you're coming to a key spot here. We could see 450 this week if it breaks through here.
You could see 350.
I know we saw $1 and change, but
you could see 350. By the way, there's no rules in natural gas. Natural gas is wild. Today, you're going to have the first decline in stocks this week of the withdrawal season. There's a lot of winter ahead. I'm hoping that it comes down. I'd like to do some strategic kind of stuff in my services.
You want to get your strategic reserve? Hey,
this is my strategic time. I love trading natural gas. It's one of the markets that I've made the most money in over the years.
I want to go back to one thing in crude real quick too. Another reason that the price is high. Okay. We're not pricing off a WTI anymore. We're pricing off a Brent, which is always a little bit higher. Okay. So is that correct?
It depends what we're doing. If we're buying
it from Saudi Arabia, so they're not pumping WTI.
If we're buying gasoline, we're pricing off WTI. If we're buying distillates, we're pricing off Brent. But that has come down. That spread has come down within $3. And, Brent is always 1 month ahead. So, I understand what you're saying with that, but it's kind of a de minimis.
No, but it can affect the price. So anyways,
All the distillate products that we produce in the United States are now coming out of Saudi Arabia, whereas they were not before.
OJ were long and it's trying to break out. It came down and got creamed, which are short all the way down. And then it looks like it wants to go higher. And again, it's the same thing. Okay. The speed at which it went up was a little bit too quick. So don't be surprised to see some sidewards action here. It's as natural as a newborn baby.
Look at the temperature in Orlando. That'll tell you a lot about it. Seriously.
Platinum. Ugh, God, I thought they were all gonna take off, and son of a gun, here they are. And here's platinum. This is like it. It's back to it was 1100 where I was waiting for it to break out. It couldn't get above 1100. Now it better hold 1000 or you better look out below.
It's typical platinum for you.
I know.
Like this.
I know. It's a value proposition.
That's it.
You're getting an 80% discount. Anyways, 1000 to 1050, Ken. Sugar, we're long and it's still just churning higher and a little bit of a sell-off. Perfect.
A little bit of a sell-off on the back of oil. Sugar's going to always be very sensitive, lag oil a little bit.
Coming right back to where it should. It should bounce right from where we'll say 1950. Silver, pretty nasty. Not quite as nasty as platinum and gold, but nasty just the same. Look, but it's not, to me, platinum hasn't done any real damage yet. No, silver, we'll see. Okay. Right now, I would just say that 24 bucks is a key number, and we're probably back to 24.25. Okay. And the bonds got clocked, but we are long bonds. Or long bonds or short bonds? I can't remember.
I know in one thing we're short TLT.
Yeah. I think we're short, but I don't remember anymore. Okay.
Short TLT. Yeah, I mean they failed. It makes sense to me that we're short them.
Well, I mean, look,
this morning we're short TLT.
Interest rates are going up; these are going down. That's the natural progression. That they go in direct opposite. Okay, because this is the future that they're trading in. They trade in opposite directions. That's why if you ever see an auction, the bids are backwards. It's quite fascinating if you've never seen it before. Okay. And here I would say, probably 160 is going to be a key spot to watch. Okay. I'd say probably 160 to 162. Okay. And look, it looks like they want to head south, and we know one thing for sure. Okay. That the Fed has to raise rates if they're going to slow this inflation down, because they refuse to do the other things that they can do to help slow it. So they're going to have to hike rates. Now, from a blow-off standpoint, you'll probably see a little bit of a pop in bonds tonight or tomorrow, but probably a sellable pop. Okay, and corn, nice little move. Look at it tuck right in that tight range for 6 days now. Okay, and why? Because it got a little bit too far away from itself, and it now is consolidating, and we're right to the point now where it has the ability to break out to the next level. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough time of the year for corn, now that the harvest is pretty much done with, and it's a tough time of the year for corn, but it's holding up very pretty here.
Yeah, it looks great, and we're
great. By the way, ethanol prices have been much higher.
Yeah.
So that's also helping it, and the other grains ain't hurting it. Let's
it looks great, and we're still long, and of course we got long beans too, and they look as good as well. And
they look good. They look good. I like that. Double bottom kind of formation there.
And of course, your baby wheat exploding. Okay, and here you go. Now it's exploding. Why is it exploding? Tell us, sir.
Because Russia controls that market.
Okay, and
Russia controls that market, and wheat is the most political commodity in the world, and it's holding the bullish baton in the commodity sector, and that's the most dangerous one to hold it.
And it's leading the way.
It's the primary ingredient in bread.
Yeah, hey,
that's where people around the world get nutrition.
It's leading the way to the rest of the grains, and again, this is kind of what you watch. And as I said, last week. I would not be surprised to see a 9 handle in front of this. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 6 in corn. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a 13 back in
It's
beans.
not Dr. Copper, it's Dr. Wheat.
Dr. Wheat is very dangerous.
Dr. Wheat is dangerous because wheat has toppled more governments. It made a French queen lose her head. It was the one thing that toppled the guy in Libya, Gaddafi. Wheat is dangerous for leaders who can't feed their people at a small price.
Let them eat cake.
Let them eat cake. She lost her head.
Here,
When,
I want to share this before we stop this recording. And this puts the federal deficit budget in pretty simple terms. The U.S. tax revenue is whatever it is, 2.17 trillion. The federal budget is 3.8 trillion. Already we're at a debt automatically before they do more ridiculous spending. And of course, the national debt is 19.2. Okay, and the budget cuts at 38.5, right? But if you put it in perspective, okay, it's average income 21,000. You're spending 38,000, so every year you're spending 16,500 more. Your credit card debt continues to expand because you're paying ridiculous interest rates on it. Okay, so I hope that puts us in a better perspective and why Andy and I are always so upset about what they do. And it's all parties. This is not just the party now. I mean, the party now happens to be the one in charge, but the spending has got to stop at some point. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. What, you have any thoughts there, sir?
no, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to go. Well, how do you solve it? Do you go and you say to every family, okay, one-time tax, pay up,
You know what you do?
pay down the debt? Do you support that?
You know what you really do? What you really do is you tell the government, to live by a real budget instead of spending every dime and overspending so they get an increase in budget, and you quit raising the debt ceiling, and you tell them that you have to live within a budget like a normal American home. I mean,
The other thing you do is you tell the whole the government, okay, your job is military, military, protection. And,
I mean,
cut out everything else.
it's just like in California, 66% of California's budget goes to illegals. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that's ridiculous. And this is the problem because they don't have to live on a budget. And these buyers, they spend every dime so they get a bigger budget the next year. It's ridiculous. Okay. And here's another, let's say you come home from work and find there's been a sewer back up in your neighborhood and your home has sewage all the way up to your ceilings. What do you think you should do? Raise the ceilings or pump out the crap?
Right. Raise the ceiling.
Your choice is coming. Anyway, let me stop this recording and we'll get the next one going. Hold on. Let me get my girlfriend to speak to me. Okay, thank you, darling. And what's up? Welcome aboard. It is the Monday night call, and we're back. So we weren't gone long. And of course, Powell has been reappointed, and it's a mess, and the market's had a little bit of a spill. We'll get into all that and more. But first, we have to say, which we kind of talked about, but every day is Veterans Day. Every day is Armed Forces Day. Every day is Police Day, Fire Day. To all the public servants, I will thank you every week, because without you putting your life on the line, I couldn't do what I do. So I thank you as I do every day, and I'm sure you feel the same, sir.
Agreed.
Okay, so we both are on the topic there. Just Friday, I'm doing a webinar, and we're coming out with a new product. There will be special pricing on everything. And we're going to be talking about auto trading worldwide, including Canada, finally. Okay, so it should be exciting. Make sure you check it out. And of course, as always, my thoughts are, are oil prices and inflation a political ploy to bring UBI? That's what I think. That's what I thought. What do you think?
I mean, inflation is the result of what the Fed's done and what the government is doing with the stimulus. The progressive agenda is UBI. I think it took a bit of a shot in the kneecaps today.
Shot in the ass. They need some preparation H.
With the reappointment of Powell. And I think that it's going to take another shot in the ass when Manchin and Sinema tell them cut this budget down to 1.25 trillion. So, I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working.
It's working for us. It's working for me.
I don't think it's working because I think that the recent election and in Virginia and some of the reelection results sent some shivers through anyone in the Democratic Party who wants to get reelected, who realizes that people ain't behind them.
Right. The people in the masses are not behind the minority of all these rioters and jackasses that are causing all the trouble.
No, the progressives live in a fantasy world. They live in the metaverse.
They live in the metaverse. So are the markets changing direction?
The market's changing direction.
Yeah.
You know what? No markets go in straight lines. They don't go in straight lines, but they trend over time.
We don't know the answer.
And as far as if the markets are changing directions, interest rates are going higher. We'll have to wait and see. Taxes are going higher. We know that. I mean, you're not going to argue with that. The taxes are going higher. So the markets will tell us if they're changing directions.
Right. We don't predict, but I could see a case, and especially higher interest rates, because there's certainly overabundance of capital in these markets that would prefer to be in a CD or somewhere else. Okay.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
The tax thing. Part of this budget is a massive injection into the IRS.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, huge. And Elon Musk and others have been kind of screaming about this. Isn't this geared not for billionaires, but for everyone?
Of course it is. Listen, it's the biggest, I get so mad when I talk about this stuff, because if it wasn't for the billionaires, we wouldn't have the jobs, we wouldn't have the tax revenue. And what about the politicians? And of course, Elon Musk sent out the best tweet, okay, which he said to Bernie Sanders, "You're a taker, not a maker." Okay.
I like the one. Are you still alive? I didn't think you were still alive. I like that one better.
Yeah. You're a taker, not a maker. And again, they took raises during COVID. When we were all starving, they were taking raises. They live in a whole different, they live in the metaverse. Okay. Yeah. And so they're the whole situation is a disaster zone, which we're not going to change it tonight. So we'll get out of it, but it's terrible. But interest rates are going to have to go higher. Okay. And the bond vigilantes, they're doing a pretty good job. And they're here. Somebody asked, they're here. Okay. And you watch, if they're going to go higher, they're going to really push. This is, as they say, you ain't seen nothing yet. And you talked about this earlier, Biden's letter to oil companies. Are you kidding me? Yeah. He sent him a stern letter. Okay. We're going to investigate you for price gouging, not the criminals who in Illinois who charge, I don't know what we pay, $1.50 a gallon for taxes, and we're always broke. Okay, we're one of the three highest income tax states, and we're always broke, and our property taxes are ridiculous, and we're always broke. That never made sense to me ever.
Okay? Why don't we investigate them?
Yeah, exactly. You know how we investigate them? Let's get rid of them. Okay, but anyways, this is nonsense. This is almost
it's not. It's pandering to the Warren Sanders.
Quit pandering to the idiots, because
that's what they're doing.
They don't care. One thing I know.
Okay? Don't forget, every time Bernie Sanders walks into the Oval Office, he reminds Joe Biden that he's sitting behind the desk because he threw his support behind him.
Remember this, okay? That Bernie Sanders never had a job in his life, but as a politician, and he's got 6 homes. Elizabeth Warren has got more money than anybody. So of course they want socialism. They want all this.
Say what you want about Bernie Sanders, but he is a very effective politician who's coming from a socialist democratic background in Vermont, one of the smallest states in the Union, built a national platform where he got a shitload of votes, Bubba. Yep. And you know what? He's a very good politician. So, he's strong-arming Biden, and that's why you're getting him to write letters here. But I will tell you, I like that Biden stood up to him today and reappointed Powell, because that was not Bernie's choice.
100%. And of course, words of wisdom from our friend Connie, who is still ailing, but will be back, promises me she'll be back next week. But live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Good idea. And we talk about this all the time. I teach so many things and you have to put the effort in to make it better, because you cannot possibly remember everything we talk about. Okay, it's up to you, okay, to make things better and to continue to learn it, to master the craft. It's not a full-time job, but it does take a little bit of work, okay, to be successful in this business and in this industry and in investing in general. Okay, nobody is on the street corner handing out $100 bills. You got to learn a little bit. You got to do a little bit of work. Okay?
Not yet.
That is right. You got to do a little bit of work. Okay, it takes a little bit of effort on your part. The fat and lazy Americans, the reason we have some of the problems because too many people are comfortable with what they're doing. Okay, and as long as they can pay the mortgage and pay their car payment and keep getting a new car every 2 years, they're happy. Well, that is not good. You need to do better, because at some point there's going to be a disaster. You can bet on it. Okay, and of course brings us to her words of wisdoms, or her State of the Union, excuse me. Remember when we treated the flu with chicken soup, saltines, and warm tea instead of communism? Connie, you always take care of me. Look who's here, my captain, my brother. I was at a coal conference this week, and Wood Mackenzie reported worldwide there has been 26 trillion in stimulus spending printing around the world in the last 16 months. This is why the World Bank at the IMF is still projecting global GDP next year above 4.5% and is responsible for all its inflation. Well, there you go. There's a guy that's in the industry.
That's right. And that's why that if Manchin and Sinema don't stand up to this more crazy spending, we're going to have a even bigger problem. We have a problem as it is already.
They'll stand up. I got confidence. Okay. And of course, I've been bitching for over an hour already, but here's my last one. Okay. The attempt to rewrite the Constitution. I can't stand it. I every time I hear them, it makes me want to cringe. Every change that they try to make to what we do makes me want to. Nothing.
Who are they? Who are they?
Who are they? Nancy Pelosi, the whole Democratic Party.
Name them.
Okay, AOC.
And who is their who is their support arm?
Which one?
The press.
Right, but besides the
guy. No, the suppressor. No, their PR. Their PR is the press.
Yes.
CNN, NBC, MSNBC, the networks. They're all. This is This is not journalism, folks.
Are you kidding me?
This is total political ideological indoctrination.
That's why they lost the Virginia election, because they told parents what they were going to teach their kids, and the parents.
The one thing you do not do is tell parents what to do. It's so funny. So we had these two grandchildren, lovely little girls, so cute, so wonderful. It's the best thing in the world. The one thing I said, my wife and I, we say to each other is, we will never tell the kids anything. We're supportive. They ask us questions. We'll answer them. We will never make suggestions on how to raise their kids. You know why? Because that's the one thing a parent never wants to hear from anyone else. Parents know best what's good for their children. That's right. The bottom line. And the big problem is when they start teaching this stuff in schools, whatever it is. I told a story a couple of weeks ago. I'll repeat it now. One of my friends here in Vegas, his grandson went to high school for the first day. He went into a social studies class, and the teacher, the history teacher, had rolled the American flag up into a ball and thrown it in the corner and pronounced to the class on the first day of school that he does not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and does not put his hand over his heart because he objects to it. And the kid came in the next day. And of course, there's a mask mandate in the schools. And the kid came in without a mask on. And the teacher said, look, you're going to have to leave unless you put your mask on. And he said, I'm going to make you a deal. If you stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll wear my mask. You know what they did to the kid? They transferred him to another class.
Yeah, look, it is so, you have no idea how my blood boils at this point.
Right. Don't tell parents how to raise their kids. The biggest mistake. And you know what? They learned it in that election.
Unbelievable. Anyways, the Dow futures, Yankee Michael. Okay, now look, they're not going to change tomorrow because they were long coming in and we were higher on the day, even though it looks pretty ugly. This is kind of major support right here. I mean, 35.5 or so. Okay, that's the level to watch. But they look like they could be getting ready to break down. Now, look, I'm not predicting anything because that's not what I do. But it looks like it would not surprise me if we saw a replay of what we saw in December of 2018.
Exactly. And as we've been saying all along, and we say this for months and months, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when we'll get a major correction.
Joseph Goebbels, yes. In the meantime, so 35.5, okay, to probably 35.8, and it's tenuous at best. All I can say for today's action, it might have been a little blow-off action, and I would not be surprised at all to see a little bit of a pop tomorrow. It is a holiday week. It is a little bit thinner than normal, but we had pretty good volume based on a Monday of the beginning of a weekend. A lot of people aren't even there. So, but the difference between today and when I first started is everybody's got an iPhone. Everybody's got a way to get to the market, and from the airplane you can get to the market. Okay.
It's going to thin out tomorrow. It's going to be worse Wednesday, and it's going to be non-existent Friday.
Right. It's going to be very slow. And in the meantime, we had a nice day in our day trading, so that's all good. Okay. And of course, the S&P, Echo Sierra. Now, look, you can say what you want about the way it collapsed, but look at where it's at. You just have to look at the chart. Okay. This is still extremely bullish. And again, this is the same as we looked at coffee and some of the others. It had such a drive higher that the only way it really can go now is either down or sideways. Okay. And right now it's choosing to go sideways. Okay. And I would just look at this at 46.60, 46.40 to 47.20. Okay. Now we're long, and we will be long tomorrow again, still. So I'd like to be a buyer, not a seller. The NASDAQ, November, Quebec, again, down 200 today. It had a 400-point swing. This is a key reversal, making a new all-time high and closing out as low of the day. Okay, huge volume. And again, I would not at all be surprised to see this up 100 tomorrow. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at anything, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised at a rally, would you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, I mean, this is still in a very good uptrend. And again,
I'll be right with you.
Okay, it got too far off the base. It needs to have some selling off, which again would still be an uptrend. Okay, in the meantime, 16.3 to 16.6. Okay. And the Russell, which is once again, after being the strongest, has become the weakest. Okay. Now, we did reverse some of the ETFs, okay, in these, not the futures yet, because they mark at different times. So we'll see. But in the meantime, this looks pretty bad. 22.20 is, because we're still long as of this moment, we are still long. So 22.20, okay, to 23.60, okay. And let's see, we'll see what happens. We'll know more in the morning, but I don't get too excited either way into a holiday week. I don't put a lot of stock into it, but I will look at the plays. And if I get a blow off, I will certainly most likely trade as we do on a very short-term cycle in the mornings. Okay. And the VIX, what did the VIX do today?
Went up over
a little bit, not a surprise. The VIX is in. Now, this is a nice little uptrending market right now. Okay. And, this is certainly would be probably some resistance around 20. But again, you're seeing the biggest difference we're seeing in today's sell-off versus others is when you get these dramatic straight up spikes, that you're almost 99% going to fail. Okay. Now, this is a little bit more of a gentle trend. Okay. And we'll see what happens at 20, I suppose.
The gentle trend that does have the potential to lead to one of those spikes.
I'm telling you. I mean, you could get it anytime. There's no announcing it.
Yeah.
Okay. In the meantime, Apple, Alpha Papa Lima. And of course, it had a huge spike up early, got up to 165. Now we're long, very good, very nice. But I will tell you that it's got to go back to this trajectory, that this straight up spike is too fast. It cannot exist at that pace for very long. Okay. And at some point it will either come back down to the mean or it's going to consolidate. But for the way it looks right now, 157.50 is support and there is no resistance because I'm not selling it. Okay. So I'm not giving resistance because there's no place to sell it right now, unless you get a blow off, which we did not get. Okay. AMD, Alpha Michael, oh, I'm sorry, AG, I forgot. That's a new addition. And of course, it got hammered with silver today. And, like as I said a couple of weeks ago, 1250, if you want to play silver without playing the futures, this is something you can try to play through. It's a minor, again, it's just a way. I own some of it. Okay. We don't trade it anywhere but here, but it's a way. Again, I try to find ways for people to play certain products that they don't necessarily have enough money for or want to get into. And certainly the options are reasonable enough here. To me, I look at 1250 here and watch silver, and it's probably 1250 to 14. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, which we are long. And excuse me for making a mistake over the weekend, but I got to correct it for you all. In the meantime, look, it had a little bit of a pullback. Are you surprised? Again, we talk about this all the time. The speed in which it goes up cannot be maintained, just like the speed when they go down. Everybody talks about 08. Andy, remember 08, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there was plenty of time to get out before the big panic.
Yeah, I mean, it started in October.
And major rallies, you had 1,000, 2,000 point days.
Yeah, no, there was plenty of time. Look, when you look back at it, it looks like, whoa. But when you were going through it, there was plenty of time.
And just like
there were those days where they were like, we had Bear Stearns, they were concerned about Bear Stearns, and then are they going to save Lehman? There was all kinds of craziness going on, but there was lots of time to get out. And the trends had shifted. So
right.
You were on the right side if you were short.
Right. And again, but you don't panic. What you recognize is, again, this is learning a little bit. You recognize at which speed it's going up or down, and you will always assume some retracement. Okay. And if you ever watch the Bollinger Bands, I don't use them, but the Bollinger Bands are a mathematical measure of 2 standard deviations away from the mean. And they can stay extended for a long period of time, but they eventually stay extended by going sideways before it releases itself back to the mean. Okay. Anyways, so back to what we're here for, 150. Okay. No resistance. Okay. BABA, Bravo Alpha, which we remain short. And of course, I'm sure I can't wait.
Undersold.
I can't wait to say where they sold it. I can't wait. And I'll bet anybody a lot of money that they sold a bunch after they announced they had bought it. Okay. That's my prediction. Okay. In the meantime, it's breaking down here again. And now
illegal.
Everything's legal today. The green mail, which used to be illegal, but now they can do it through Twitter. So it's legal. Okay. In the meantime, 135, you better hold on or you better duck. I mean, this looks pretty bad. 135, but we're short. So I hope it goes to 100. Okay. Bido, which is new. And again, we're not going to trade this yet, but of course it got clobbered right along with Bitcoin. Okay. Straight down. Now, again, I would bet that you'll see a little bit of a bounce here. Now, whether or not it's going to be sustainable, that I can't say. But this does have options. It's not tradable yet. Okay, somebody want to know about hedging it? Hey, we'll get there. But right now, let's let it develop a pattern as we do with new issues like BitQ, Bravo India Tango Quebec. Okay, now it's reached up to almost 36, and now we're back under 30. Okay, it is certainly a reverse trend. Now it looks okay, but it's gonna track Bitcoin Soup, right? Mara and Riot and all the other ones. But this is one we do not have. I just own this personally, and I just thought it's another way for those who want to play the crypto world, okay, without getting involved in the wallets and all the fancy stuff that goes on, the 24/7 trading. But again, this is here, as I look at it, this is like a must hold level around the 30. Okay. It's got to hold here. If it doesn't, it's probably going back down to 25. Just like Bitcoin can go back to 50 or 45 or 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
And would you be shocked?
No.
Right.
I wouldn't be shocked that I'm not selling it.
And that's why you're short. But that's why you're short Bitcoin in the trend follow.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. But these I don't short. I'm just holding it. Okay.
Right. No, I know.
CGC. Now, I said, and I've continued to believe that something's going on here, and this suddenly we've got more volume, we've got more price action, and unfortunately, okay, well, actually, we reversed this and got short, but we got long for a little while, but it does look okay like there's something going on. Now, whether or not it happens, Andy and I believe, and you can explain what you believe, why it's not going to happen until something happens. Go ahead and give them your scenario.
I think that there's a lot of vested interest in this marijuana business. And I think that it eventually goes to companies like Altria, and that the burn rate on these companies are such, they can't get financing from banks. And it's unbelievable to me that Congress has not been able to go get federal legislation through to allow the banking system to finance these companies, to allow them to take credit cards. So there's a reason, there's a political reason. And I think the political reason, if I put two and two together, that they want their buddies in the lobbyists to control this business. And you'll see these stocks go down very low levels. And then you'll see the Altrias come in and suck them all in, buy them all.
For you pot smokers and you ex-pot smokers, they're trying to burn out.
The burn rate.
Okay. In the meantime, again, this is basically, other than the one portfolio which is short, this is a gamble trade. If you want to gamble on pot that is going to be legalized, this is one of the ways. And I added one way this week as well. Yeah. Chewy. Yeah.
By the way, the other thing that I got to add.
Yeah.
Companies spend billions of dollars on lobbying in Washington. Real estate's really expensive in Washington, not because the politicians there live there, but because the lobbyists live there. The restaurants make a fortune there because the lobbyists go out to dinner every night with the politicians. There's a lot of money there, and that controls the legislation. Keep that in mind with all of these kind of burgeoning businesses.
Chewy, we're short, thank God. But I'm not short in my own account, but I'm short in the portfolio amount, but I do own Chewy. Andy and I both like the company, and not a surprise. Now, I would look at this, first of all, 64, I think is a pretty good support level. Okay. Now, but this is something different, and this is what we would potentially look at. Now, again, I'm not as keen on a blow off trade into this real quiet period we're going to go through the next few days. But this would be one as a trade only. I would look maybe to take a long position. Okay. And
this looks like a kind of a liquidation today. There's no way in my mind I can kind of rationalize how interest rates affect dog food and cat food.
It looks like they might get forced out. Something might have.
It looks like it was it looks like someone, like a hedge fund, liquidated a big position.
Tap on their shoulder, as we called it on the trading floor.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're short
the decks
64 to 72, and coin again. No surprise, Bitcoin get clobbered. Now this still looks pretty good. Okay. And I mean, Bitcoin doesn't look bad either. And we don't carry this, but I do own it, and Andy owns it. So, but here I would look at 315 could be some support. Okay. It did not sell off on very heavy volume today. We'll see. Again, this is a big stock that is hedged. Okay. And it's expensive to hedge. Somebody might comment the other day on that. And I go, hey, that's why we don't have it for everybody. That's why you have to have enough money to, you have to have enough money to support what position you want to carry, no matter what that happens to be. Okay. In the meantime, 315 to 340 can, and we'll see. Curl F, which is another part of a second of our pot stocks. Okay. We don't put levels on them. Again, I'm just telling you, this is an American retailer out of Massachusetts. I assure you, if you got pot stores in your neighborhood, if you look at who owns them, you'll see that most of them are owned by Curaleaf. So they have it. If this does get legalized, you have a pretty good shot that these are going to make pretty big moves. Okay, so
a lot of stuff. Someone said that I'm surprised that Congress can't get legislation through on this marijuana stuff. I'm not surprised. It makes sense to me. By the way, if Congress never does anything, it wouldn't say that's what they're there. They're there to do nothing.
They're waiting for the big payday, baby. They want the money from others. They
want the wink and the nod, so they know when to buy the pot stocks.
Right. They want
to go and buy them out.
And
then you'll see them all piling into the stock market.
And DraftKings, which we are short. Okay. Now, Andy and I both own it. I love it. I mean, I understand why it's way down.
Yeah, full disclosure, I bought more.
No, me too. I understand why it's down. Their acquisition cost is through the roof right now because there's a major competition in this business. Okay. But the funny thing is the industry is growing by leaps and bounds. If you see some of they call them handles, right? New Jersey set another record. They did 1.3 billion last month. Okay. And gambling, not revenue, but gambling handle, which means that they're hoping to hold 5% of that amount of money. Okay. That's the theory behind it all. Okay. And this is only getting bigger. So, but DraftKings acquisition cost between everything they buy and all their advertising and all the giveaways. But I think that it's a monster winner at some point. Okay. And I'm hedging, I'm holding it, and I'm not afraid of it. But we are shorted in the portfolios. And I don't mind that either. Again, it's two separate positions for me. One's my retirement and my profit sharing account. The other one is my trading. So right now we're short. I would say that if 35 doesn't hold, you could see new lows here though. That could be, it could get nasty. It could go back into the 20s if it happens, but certainly at the speed at which it's gone down, and suddenly it's kind of slowed the last couple of days. And I'm very curious to see the action right from here. Okay. There's nothing to do because we're short, but at the end of the day, I would not be surprised if it didn't make a bottom here. Okay. Fast Foxtrot Alpha Sierra, which we shorted today, I believe. And of course it had a naturally short day. So it had a nice big jump. But again, you get so much selling pressure, okay, that you're going to get some retracement. Okay. But the trend has definitely changed. We have broken to the bottom side and we were unable to get back into that consolidation pattern. And I would look at this now as if it gets back to 140, I'd love to sell more. Okay. I would be a seller at 140. Okay. The other side of the pot is that so many congressional members are concerned about the conservative, religious, and older voters. They don't want to pick that fight. Okay. I can live with that. Okay. But it does make sense from a monetary standpoint. And certainly we could use the money. Okay. But of course they would they'd burn it away anyways.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, why to be a seller at 140? I would suspect that probably 125 or 124 is going to be the next real support.
They can use it to hire more IRS agents.
Yeah. It's amazing. Or maybe they get some more bond agents. They can get some more rating agencies. Facebook, which we are still long, and it's holding up pretty well. Now, again, it had a spike up and it's now kind of consolidating. And it's basically, I would look at it from, 335, 340 to 360. Okay. We're still long. Okay. First Solar, Foxtrot Sierra Lima Romeo. Okay. And we are short this. We got a little bit of a pop, but again, pops come, and I'd love to be a seller of more at 115. Okay. And I would suspect we're probably, 100 to 115. Now you can say, well, those are big ranges, but I assure you, if you look at the options markets, you will see that the expectation of movement in many of these is very high. Okay. And I'm not giving you ranges that are out of reach, because they get, the pricing of the options will tell you what is the expectation of movement. And right now, let's see, we'll see right now. Okay. And right now, in the next 11 days, is expected to move $8. And that's $8 plus or minus. Well, that $8 down takes us to the support, and $8 up takes us to resistance. Okay. So in the meantime, GDX, it's no surprise it got hammered today. Okay.
It's about $40. That thing's going to get hammered.
I'm sorry, what, babe?
I said goes down $40. That's going to get hammered. No way.
It wasn't as bad as gold, but it looks pretty nasty. But, certainly, again, this is just, I don't trade this anywhere. I don't own it. I don't trade anywhere, but I share it with you guys because it's a little bit smaller way to play the gold markets. And some people think it's great for hedging. So, hey, in the meantime, 32 to 34, Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra. Well, obviously the banks had a little bit of a bounce today. Andy, tell them why the banks had a little bit of a bounce today.
Because they higher interest rates, they print money.
You ain't whistling Dixie, baby.
Come on, the spreads go up. It's the same thing. By the way, it's the same theory as with the gasoline. You know, if you got a 10% tax on gasoline and gasoline prices go from $2 to $4 a gallon, you're gonna make double as much in tax revenue.
Right.
It's the same thing with the financial stocks. When interest rates go up, they print, and they've been making a fortune at zero interest rates. Could you imagine what they're gonna make when they go back to normal levels?
And right. And for those who may not understand what we're really talking about, banks work on a spread from the Fed funding rate. Okay. So the Fed fund rate is X, the bank tacks on. And the higher the Fed funding rate is, the more they can tack on. Okay.
Right. And by the way, and then when they take deposits, they take off.
Right. Of course, naturally.
Right. So they take on and take off. And everything in between is what they make. That's their
right.
earnings.
Right. 100%. Is there any surprise that they were up on Friday as well? Maybe they had an idea what was going on. You know, the sharpest bank in the world.
By the way, Goldman is going to make the most.
Anyways, we're short, and I'd say 380 to 400. Okay. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, which we reversed today. Okay, and it got hammered. And look, it's breaking down. That's why I said earlier that some of the ETFs, even though the futures haven't changed yet, and that's because of the hours in which they trade and the hours in which they get marked at. But you know, it wouldn't surprise me if the future changed today or tonight. But in the meantime, look, I think you got to look at now 230 on the way down, which was an old level we were watching on the way up. And to me, you're probably 236 to 230. Okay. Mara, Michael Alpha, Romeo Alpha, after reaching last week or 10 days ago, $84 is now down on 49. Okay. Now that's a signal. That's pretty ranky, pretty nasty.
Yeah, it trades like a leveraged ETF on Bitcoin. It really does.
It trades like lumber.
Yeah.
I mean, but again,
it's a hell of a lot more liquid than lumber.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not a shock. Okay, we've seen this. We watched it go from $6 to 60 and back to 25.
Right.
Okay. So now a pullback. It's a big pullback. They had bad earnings or whatever it is. But so now to me, 48 is the must hold level here, or it's going back down to 40. Okay. Now we don't trade this anywhere. I mean, we trade it. I trade it, but we don't have it in any portfolio. Okay. But for now, I would say 45 to 55. Okay. And here's a new stock. This is a pot ETF. Okay. MSOS. Okay. And it's all American pretty much. Okay. So that's the big thing that we've talked about, that the American companies will do better if they ever legalize pot. Again, of course, it's got clocked again today as well with everything else. But notice the volume increasing, which again goes back to, I think something's going on. Now, whether it is or not, I can't say. In the meantime, I wouldn't be a buyer right now, but it's one that we'll keep an eye on. But I did notice that it does have options. It got weekly options. So it'll be something we'll look at in the future. Right now, it's just one that's on the list that we're watching.
Yeah, see if Nancy Pelosi's husband is buying it.
I'm sure he is. Okay. We'll know. Yeah, exactly. NEO, November India Oscar. And of course, we're short this. And of course, it popped up a couple of bucks today, but really just right up to probably some resistance. And I would look to be a seller about 42. And I think 38 is probably some support, which we obviously can see. And 48 to 32, and I would have no problem selling. And this is certainly a blow off type action. Again, as much as I love the blow off, I don't know if I want to get involved in a daily blow off going into this holiday. It's just the markets always tend to be a little bit stranger during a holiday. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They thin out. So, crazy moves, intraday, you don't have the same liquidity, and it's just going to get worse each day. Today was probably the best day you'll see. Tomorrow will be a little worse. Wednesday will be terrible. Friday will be nothing.
Friday will be a nothing unless there's a, 1 year I said earlier, they had an oil problem in Dubai and the S&P got clobbered.
Right.
And the Dow and the oil was getting murdered. And by the end of the day, it was all back to normal.
And so, you know what? Next week, people say, oh, Christmas time.
Right. Exactly. Nougat, November Uniform Golf Tango. Look, it reached 60.
And by the way, it's Hanukkah next week. It starts early this year.
Those early? Oh.
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Same to you and everyone else.
Happy Chanukah. Anyways, 50 to 60 right here. And again, this will be what gold does. And this is on steroids. Okay. It moves very quickly when it goes. And I think it's got a value of about 2 million by now with all the reverse splits. This is one that is only one you hold for a few days, a week, maybe. What'd you say? 14 days is your limit?
Yeah, on these leveraged for 2 weeks. 2 weeks time stop on every position,
Yeah.
long or short.
Right. Okay. In the meantime, 50 to 60. NVIDIA.
You know what? It's discipline for me.
No, listen, I don't disagree. I hate these stocks.
I know. I like trading them. To me, they're trading sardines. I like them.
They're trading for a position, okay, for a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly.
NVIDIA, we're long, and again, look, it sold off a little bit, but it's sold off from a dead new high. Now, again, this could be a key reversal. Okay, this could be a blow off. It could be a lot of things, but in the meantime, we're long, and I'm going to look at this as
you talk about trajectory, Bubba.
Yes, that's again, it consolidated and it popped again. I'm going to look at this from 300 to 340.
Trajectory is so wild.
Yep, indeed, but it will end up back like it is right in here. Okay, that's what you're looking for. That's the cleanest you can ever get. Okay, so in the meantime, 300 to 340, and again, you want to see proof? Okay, I'll give you proof. Okay, NVIDIA.
That's gonna be those are some rich options.
Oh yeah, they're expecting a $25 move in the next 11 days.
Right.
That brings down to under 300 or over 350. Okay. Yeah. So again, just remember that. Okay. So when I give you these levels, it's because I understand what the volatility is going to be.
That's riding a psychotic horse.
Penn, another casino stock going to the toilet. Now, fortunately, we're short this. Okay. But again, I look at this almost like DraftKings. I like DraftKings better. I own them both. I do like DraftKings better, but they also have a high acquisition cost. You remember, if any of you gamble, they give big bonuses away. They're giving all this money away because they're building long-term drug addicts.
It's funny. You want to hear something funny? I mean, my son, he's got both of them have DraftKings accounts, right? So one of my sons said to me over the weekend, he says, Dad, I noticed that DraftKings goes down when the equity in my account goes up, and the stock goes up when the equity in my account goes down. The equity in my account went up, it like quadrupled, and the stock trashed. Should I start trading that?
At this point, again, the real truth behind it all is the acquisition cost, because they're going to win. They're going to win money over time. That business, if you know anything about the gambling business, that is not a business of a get rich quick today, but they make money like a slot machine.
Yeah. They're offering a lot of, I mean, he's able to parlay teasers and all kinds of crazy bets, and it's wild.
So anytime the bookmakers cry, you hear them have a bad weekend, don't have a tag day for them. They get it all back with interest.
I think the one risk in that industry is that a lot of, listen, I was a 14-year-old kid who spent his whole life watching sports at one point. There's one thing, there could be some problems down the horizon with younger kids using these betting apps, and that's something that you could watch that can affect the stocks.
It's like the vaping industry. They ask you all these questions and they want to verify, and even it's funny when I'm in Vegas sometimes, and I got a stations app like you do, and sometimes I'm in the hotel, and when I get bet, and it says it can't locate me. I go, I'm standing right here.
Right. I know. It reminds me of the story when I sent my kid to sleepaway camp when he was about 12. And he called me up. He said, Dad, I need you to send me some money. I said, I thought everything's taken care of. What do you need? He goes, I need $300. What do you need it for? Turns out after severe surveillance, I found out that, he was losing money in poker games. Right. I had to call up the camp director and ask him if he was running a camp or a casino.
In the meantime, Penn is very tightly wound right here. I would say this, 53 is going to be a key pivot point here, whether it's going to pop to the upside or break down. It does look like it may be trying to make a bottom, so we'll see. But 53 is a level to watch, and we are short.
Yeah, these gambling stocks are very weak.
The Qs, which we are still long, and they made a new high and they came back. Same thing, but look where they came back to, right back to support. Okay, and right now they just reopened. It's not a lot, but Nasdaq's up 31, the Dow's up 50, the S&P's up 7, and the Russell's up 58. Okay, as we open again, I don't know whether they'll be tomorrow.
The market might have did some selling today on the back of Powell and then they'll open their eyes tomorrow and say, hey, you know what? He's been here for years, so nothing's changed.
The devil we know.
Right.
In the meantime, like the 400 level, watch the 400 level. We're long. Okay. Riot got clobbered the last, this is down. Now, again, it's funny. Okay. It did not partake with Mara on the way up, but it didn't also hasn't quite partaken as much on the way down. It's only lost 30%, not 50.
Right.
In the meantime, this is 30 to 35 or so. Roku, which we are still short. Okay. And look, it's right here. I mean, now you're at 230. I mean, listen, if it gets through 230, you're probably looking at under 200. Okay. There's a lot of room. There's for all these big moves that went up, there's a lot of room underneath all those once it happens. Okay. Now I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that's what I'd be looking for. So to me, the 230 level has got to hold. Otherwise, you can see 200 and below.
I always look back to 2008 and stocks like JDS Uniphase, high flyers, and I look at some of these stocks and I say to myself, ooh, that's very reminiscent.
In the 90s, we had to make a decision as to whether we knew we were right, but we had to make a decision whether we wanted to be in business or prove that we were right. So we decided to stay in business, but that we were right. I mean, all of the half of them are worthless. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the 90s, not 2008. You're right.
The SPYs, look, there's no damage today. This is just sitting in consolidation. Okay, we're still long, and I don't see that ain't changing. Okay, I would be a buyer of this probably 465-ish or so. Okay,
remember also, the SPYs are the most reflective of the overall stock market. They're the most representative.
100%.
So if you're looking for clues, that's the index you really want to look at. The Russell, the NASDAQ, they're all, the Dow, they're all kind of slanted one way or another. The SPYs are really the benchmark.
IWM is short. Yes, sir. Okay. And the notes, it'll be on the notes when you get them tonight, but yes, IWM is short along with DIA, which we don't cover on Monday nights, but so the SPY, look, it looks great. This did no damage to this pattern. Okay. To me, probably 465 to 472. Square Dance, Sierra Quebec, which we are short. Okay, and there you go. Okay, Jack Dorsey lost a little bit of money today, and this is a must hold level, which it did hold today. But again, if this stock came from $35.
Yeah, exactly.
And
actually $25.
You're certainly in a downtrend. Okay, but if it bounces as a surprise, no. This would be, I would love this to be a normal week that I want to jump in and buy just for a trade. Okay, because this I can go up $25 and still be in a downtrend and go down a lot lower. But I'm not really hepped up and getting too overly involved in these markets, the rest of the week. I'll day trade and I'll spot trade. And if there's changes, I'll make the changes, but I'm not going to be active as a trader. In fact, tomorrow morning, I'm not even going to be around. So in the meantime, watch this 210 area. Okay, because under 200, then you're looking at 190. And I think resistance is probably, 225, 230. Tilray, Tilray, same thing, had a lot more action than usual. It's a gambling stock. It's a pot stock. If you believe that there's something going on, those are the four that you buy. Okay, if you're going to buy any of them, those are the four. And in order for me, would be until I get a better feel for MSOS. Tilray is my first choice because the option model is so clean. Okay, but they're all okay. It just depends on what your risk tolerance is. Tango Quebec. Look, we're still long. It didn't do any damage. It's the NASDAQ or the Qs on steroids. It came right down to support. All right, 170 to 180. Tesla, which we don't trade anymore, and I lost for the last time missing again, but it held its support at 960. To me, you're probably looking at 960, 1,000 to the high of 1240. Okay, we'll see what happens. Got a level on Musk, and now you saw the VIX pop $1.30. Okay, a similarly priced ETF pop 37 cents. Think about that. Okay, we're still short this. Okay, and really, I'm not I am not a huge fan of selling it now. If I wasn't shorted already, I wouldn't be a huge fan of shorting this because again, I hate, we only own this in the portfolio for its value going up when it gets real cheap and for the way it collapses when it's expensive. When it's down here, this is kind of cheap. Okay. Now it can get cheaper until they reverse split it again. But right now, again, if you're not shorted already, I wouldn't be looking to short it. I will be next week, possibly, depending on how this week plays out, looking for a spot to take a shot on it. Okay. So we'll see. In the meantime, it's like 20 to 22.
All you got to do is look at the long-term chart of that. And
actually, it doesn't go that long anymore because they were forced to close it and reopen it.
Yeah. Okay.
It was 190,000. I mean,
Exactly.
Something ridiculous. When Whiskey Yankee November, which we are long, and again, it's really just been churning between 90 and 100, but it looks really good. I think that this is very solid, and I suspect there's something going on in Vegas as well. I don't mean just Vegas, but one of the holdups with all these apps and in Vegas is the way that they do business. Vegas does not offer what a lot of these apps will offer you. I think Vegas is going to get to that point where they're going to do it, which will really open up the entire market. Okay. And maybe take away some of these restrictions that are on some of these apps right now. So, but in the meantime,
Vegas, it's like the US budget. They're negotiating from strength.
Right. And Wynn looks pretty good anyways. And XBI, here we go. Right. We said, watch the 120 level, bang, cut it like a hot knife through butter. And we were pretty much on target here. This is pretty much of a must hold. And again, if this breaks 117, 116, you're probably looking at 100.
This is a very ugly chart.
Yes, it is. Now, I don't know I got to go to my other chart for a minute for Zoom, which we are short, but it did have earnings today. And I have no idea what they're doing on earnings. They're down. Okay. Down $15. Okay. So, and we're still short this. Okay. And, again, I would suspect, we're just in the high 220s right now. I think that's going to be a key level. And I think that if it breaks there, again, this came from, what was this, $40? Yeah, $40 2 years ago. Okay. When it came out. Okay.
What a pandemic, the pandemic stock. I mean, classic, huh? Almost 600.
Yep.
And then since then, as things got better, boom.
Yep. Yep. So in the meantime, if you have any questions or stocks you want me to look at real quick, I'll be happy to. And if not, we want to wish you a very
happy Thanksgiving.
And we're thankful to have you join us every Monday. It's always
absolutely. And we're also pretty lucky this year because the holiday schedule and holiday season will not affect our Monday night calls at all.
That's right. That's right.
That's good. So you'll have us all the way through.
All the way through. All right, kids. Well, plug. That plug is what I used to put in when I was coaching baseball or playing baseball. A plug.
By the way, except for the Monday, what is that? December 6th?
Yeah, December 6th. We won't be here because
we won't be here because hopefully a lot of you will be with us here in Vegas. And if you haven't signed up yet, please do.
This looks pretty good. I mean, it's come from obviously much higher, but it built a nice little bottom around 25. Now it's got a nice little bottom around 35, 30. I mean, I'd have no problem owning this. Okay. I don't know what they are, but no worries, Ken. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure to have you done it. Yeah, of course. You're a lifetimer. BT, Mr. Pokerman, you're a lifetimer. Yes. FCEL, Foxtrot Charlie Echo Lima. Foxtrot Charlie Echo Lima. I don't typically look at $9 stocks. Okay, penny stocks is what I would call it. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, it came off of from 6. It popped a little bit. It looks like it's going sideways. I mean, unless you know something here, I would not trade it. If you think there's an announcement forthcoming, if they do something that you think they're going to be involved heavily in, that's a different story. Again, if you're playing if you're speculating on news, I can understand. Okay. If you're buying this to hold this for any other reason, I think you're making a huge mistake. Okay. If you're speculating, I got no problem with it. But if it's a Thanks, guys. Illuminate. Thanks there, JR. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for all your help, man. Okay. In the meantime, everybody have a very nice Thanksgiving. And, I'll be around, Andy will be around. And of course, we got our webinar Friday, which I'm going to introduce some new stuff, and our auto trading for worldwide, including my friends in Canada. I've been trying for, 10 years already to get this done.
Very exciting.
And we got a brand new product coming out as well. So in the meantime, to all of you, have a great Thanksgiving. We appreciate you, and we are very thankful for you. And Andy, good night, my brother. I'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you later. Adios.